Hello, geometry. So our video today is all about rotation. So rotation is kind of like a turn. So when we do a rotation, one way of doing it, we're actually going to turn our paper. So you got to know what the turns mean. So every time you turn your paper, it's going to be 90 degrees. So one turn is 90, two is 180, three is 270, and if you turn it all the way around, that's a 360. Okay. So every turn is basically 90 degrees, and then we got to know the difference between clockwise and counterclockwise. So when you look at the hands of a clock, they go to the right. So clockwise will be turning your paper to the right. Counterclockwise is turning your paper to the left. Another thing that we need to think about, which will make sense later, is the quadrants. So in each coordinate plane, we have 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you notice, when I name them, I'm naming them the counterclockwise way, because that's how they're named. So when we think of it, the counterclockwise way is actually my positive direction. Okay, and that'll make sense later. But so what we're going to do is we're going to rotate triangle BAT 180 degrees clockwise. That's what my instructions told me. So the first thing they want us to do is plot the points. So when I plot my points, I have B at -5, 3, A is at -1, 4, and then T is at -2, 2. So I'm going to plot them on my grid, and I'm going to make sure I label my points. When I plot it, I know the first number is my X value, my second number is my Y. The first tells me left and right, second tells me up or down. So B is at -5, 3, so I got to go 5 to the right, up 3. And I'm going to label it. And then A is at -1, 4, so I go 1 to the left, up 4. And that's A. And then T is at -2, 2, so I go 2 to the left, up 2. And those are my points to the triangle. Since it's a triangle, I will connect them to make the triangle. Now that I have my triangle, they want to know what the coordinates are to my new one. So to find the new coordinates, I'm going to have to rotate it, and it says 180 degrees clockwise. So 180 degrees clockwise, that's going to be 2 turns right. So you got to turn your paper twice to the right. Okay. So this is 1 turn, this is 2. So if you notice, when I turned it 2 times to the right, it basically just turned my paper upside down. Okay, that's 180 degrees turn. Now, to find my new coordinates, it'll be easier if I just, now that I see this grid, I'm going to name these points. So if you saw before, this was in the first quadrant, now it's in the fourth. So B prime, I see, is located at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -3. A prime is located at 1, -4. And T prime is located at 2, -2. Okay, so those are my new coordinates. So now I'm going to just turn my paper back to how it's supposed to be, and I'm going to write those coordinates down that I just wrote. So B prime, we said, was at 5, -3. A prime, we said, was at 1, -4. And then T prime, we said, was at 2, -2. So those are my new coordinates. So now that I have them written down, now I can actually graph it so I can see it. So B, we said, is at 5, -3. So that's B prime. A prime is at 1, -4. And T prime is at 2, -2. So now I have it, and if you see, this image looks just like it did when I actually turned my paper. So that's how we can do a rotation. Now, after you do it, like on an activity that we're going to do with this, we can see that I can turn my paper every time, but if I can recognize a pattern in them, it can make it a lot easier as well. So here I can see, okay, my numbers are the same. So they didn't switch positions or anything. My numbers are the same. So X, Y will become X, Y. I don't need to flip the order or anything, but I noticed that the signs changed. So if it was positive, it became negative, and if it was negative, it became positive. So we said when you have a sign change, you can put that negative in front of there. So that doesn't mean that the number is always going to be negative, but it means it changes its sign. So if my number started off positive, now it's negative, and vice versa. If it was negative, now it's positive. So if I didn't want to turn my paper every time, if I knew this rule, if I know the original coordinates, I know, okay, if I want to rotate it 180 degrees clockwise, all I need to do is change the sign of the values. Okay? So if you can figure out the rules to these different rotations, that can make it easier as well. So now if we go through this, on this part down here, basically what we want to see is we want to see what kind of rotations actually would give us the same outcome. So we're using the same point, which is 3, 4. So this is 3, 4 located here. And they're telling us how they want us to turn the paper, and then they want us to give them the new coordinates. So it says do a 90 degrees clockwise. Again, clockwise we said is to the right, so I need to turn my paper 1 to the right. When I turn my paper 1 to the right, now I want to see, okay, well, where is this point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So it's at 4, -3. It went to the 4th quadrant. Okay, we'll do it counterclockwise. Well, counterclockwise will be turning it to the left. So I do it 1 to the left, that's 90 degrees counterclockwise. And this is at -4, +3. So I'm going to put -4, +3. So that's what I got when I turned it to the left. Now here it says -90 degrees. Now if I notice, they didn't tell me if it was clockwise or counterclockwise. If they don't specifically tell you clockwise and counterclockwise, you have to look and see is it positive or negative. If we go back to what I was saying earlier about the quadrants and how they name it, I see counterclockwise is the positive direction. So when they say a -90 degrees, I know that that means they want me to turn my paper 90 degrees clockwise. I know it's kind of opposite of what we think, but that would be 4, -3. So that means a 90 degrees rotation, since they didn't say clockwise or counterclockwise, since this is positive, we know they're telling us to rotate it counterclockwise. So again, it's going to have the same point as when I did it counterclockwise. 180 clockwise, that'd be 2 turns to the right. So turn your papers 2 turns to the right, 1, 2, and we can see, okay, now this is located at -3, -4. It's in that 3rd quadrant. So I'm going to put -3, -4. Well, what happens if I turn it 180 degrees counterclockwise? So that's 1, 2 to the left. Same spot, -3, -4. So it tells me that when I'm turning it clockwise, it doesn't matter if it's, when I'm turning it 180 degrees, it doesn't matter if it's clockwise or counterclockwise, it's going to be the same thing. Well, now they're telling us to rotate it 270. So 270 degrees, that's going to be 3 turns. So 270 clockwise is 3 turns to the right. This is 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns. That's at -4, +3. Okay. So then 270 counterclockwise, that is 3 turns to the left. 1, 2, 3. And that's at +4, -3. Again, when they're telling me to turn it, but they don't say clockwise or counterclockwise, I have to think, is it positive or negative? So a positive 270 would be 270 counterclockwise. So that's going to be 4, -3. And a negative 270 would be 270 clockwise. So that would be -4, 3. Well, if I notice some of these are the same. So at the bottom, they're saying which ones are the same. Well, this is 4, -3. Let's see what else is. This is 4, -3. And this one is 4, -3. And this is 4, -3. So 90 degrees clockwise is the same turn as a -90 degrees, which is the same turn as 270 degrees counterclockwise, which is the same turn as 270 degrees. Okay? What else is the same? Okay, so this is negative 4, 3. This is negative 4, 3. This is negative 4, 3. And this is negative 4, 3. So that tells me that 90 degrees counterclockwise is the same turn as 90 degrees, which is the same turn as 270 clockwise, which is the same as a negative 270 degrees. So if they tell you to turn it any of those directions, they all mean the same thing. In 180, it doesn't matter if they tell me to do 180 degrees clockwise or 180 degrees counterclockwise, because they're the same turn. So that's rotations.